Hi guys, it's Kate, Zedcat Vintage, and today we are shopping at the BCS Annex Thrift Shop in Sidney, BC. This particular store has a special place in my heart because at the age of 13, I actually started doing my school work hours here. I actually worked here until I was 18, volunteering. So I love this store. The first section here is like crystal and cut glass, and this first one I looked at was a really beautiful condiment set. They had it priced at $20 though, and unfortunately they really don't resell for all that much unless it's something truly spectacular. I always have to check flasks. I've done extremely well selling vintage flasks. That one was a newer one, probably one of those like everything engraved, sort of like a groomsman gift or something. It was monogrammed on it. The monograms though don't necessarily put me off if it's a true vintage piece. I have sold every single vintage flask, even vintage pieces, lighters, and things that are monogrammed. So this was a nice decanter with 4 little shot glasses, really reasonably priced, honestly, at $8. There were a few little nicks on the stopper, which aren't a huge deal, but for me, I don't know, I was just starting to look at the store. I did kind of forget about it on my way out, but I honestly don't think I would have picked it up anyways. Something about the color and those chips, I just wasn't totally feeling it. So that canister there was a like cut glass crystal and was priced at $10. This decanter here had to be the heaviest decanter I have ever come across. The thing just by itself had to have weighed near 10 pounds. It was insane. So I didn't even bother picking it all the way up. Some party light penguins, and then these sweet little I guess these would be like a brandy glass. Nice little cut glass, cut crystal. That was a really interesting wooden piece there. It was obviously a Hawaiian souvenir. It does say Maui on the dolphin. I believe it was priced at 12-ish. And then this guy caught my eye immediately. I thought it could be a chalet glass bonbonniere, or however you pronounce it. Chalet didn't just do these like pulled glass pieces like the big sculptural ones they're known for. They had a line called Whimsies, and there were like little baskets, different designs of little dishes, like little candy dishes, little trinket dishes. And they were all known to have that cross-hatched bottom. That one had a chip on its beak, and I did find one listed for Roycraft being the maker. And Roycraft was actually one of Chalet's first distributors. So yeah, it's unfortunate that piece was broken because he would have been, I think, a good little find at $5, but his beak was completely chonked. I love shortbread molds, butter molds. This one was pretty dinged up though. It was only $3, and they do have some good resale value on them often, especially the certain Scottish ones by certain makers. Hand-carved ones, they're worth looking at, and they really feed into that sort of cottagecore vibe. So that was a nice silver plate cutlery set, but it was priced at $95. It was just silver plate. Obviously sterling would have been considerably more even at the thrift store. And then this beautiful, they have it marked as a cream and sugar, which, you know, technically it is. But that's actually a muffinier. It's one of the it's a large sugar shaker, and you would use it to put powdered sugar on top of muffins or cakes and things like that. This set was by Noritake. They had it priced at $10. They don't resell for a ton. There was still room on it, money to be made, but I did pass on it. Those bowls there, the square bowls, were Sky McGee, which is a maker, kind of a more modern one, but they can be worth looking up. Some of her patterns do quite well for resale. This was a nice little cookie jar, biscuit barrel with the wicker handle. A lot of crazing on it though. Obviously a lot older piece, but. And the blue and white teapots were gorgeous as well. I think they were probably Bombay. They were priced pretty high. I think it was $25 on them. The front section here, they do have a tendency to put some of their higher priced items, kind of like featured items, which is pretty common at most thrift stores. I immediately thought this was probably a German vase, and it is. Had an interesting kind of drip glaze to it. Something about the color I wasn't totally keen on, and the gold treatment at the top was quite worn. So though it was only $5.50, I wasn't really feeling that one for myself for resale, but I'm sure someone snapped it up because it was a nice little vase. No chips or cracks or anything. A pretty frosted pink glass compote here, just making sure it wasn't like Fenton or something, but the quality was just not there. And then there was this cake plate, which I at first thought was maybe Jeanette, but the Jeanette design is actually different, and I think that one is actually the Anchor Hawking. And it was very chipped on the handle. I believe it was priced at $6. Resale on them isn't super crazy, even though it was the depression glass. Resale on those still isn't crazy. These were cool canisters, but they were very chipped. I do think they were newer as well, but the color, there was just that, like, not the cobalt blue, but really beautiful like sea blue. Now over here is where I usually find some great little treasures. This is kind of the knickknacks, little tchotchkes. This is the type of studio pottery that I'm drawn to. It was really prettily painted, had a nice little floral pattern on it, but it was chipped at the top. That was, I believe, like a capiz shell, some kind of a shell box, but it had a big crack on it. This sweet little butterfly. It says Clay Petals Pottery, 2002. Obviously handmade. It was made in Nova Scotia. I did do a quick search on it to see if I could find anything about that potter, because there is a Canadian potter from the East Coast. They make sort of nature figurines. I will put their name up when I remember it, and they're extremely collectible. He does a lot of mushrooms, which I love. This guy, he has a super cute Campsy-ware budgie. Campsy-ware was it was a potter in Scotland, and they did a lot of bird figurines, animal figurines. Those birdies had broken beaks, but this little guy, this little owl, little stoneware, kind of otagiri looking, made in Japan. He's an incense burner, and he's actually in great condition. Then looking here, there's some really nice little metalware pieces. This vase, I did like the design on it, but it was priced at $7.50. The cool little chair there was neat. That's one of those like tin can art things. You make the doll furniture. And then this piece was legit Capodimonte. You can just kind of make out on the mark there. It was very reasonably priced. It was very chipped though, of course, being Capodimonte. So I did put that one back. And then this guy caught my eye because he had a little bit of that like John Perry vibe. I could tell right away that it probably wasn't John Perry because I haven't seen a lot of his pieces be colored, and it didn't look like his like plastic, the resin that the figures are usually made of. So this was a ceramic piece on like natural driftwood, but it was priced at $20, and there is resale there, but not at a $20 buy-in. So that would have been a collector going in to buy it just for themselves. This was a nice little jam set. But you could see that the color from the crazing had actually leached into the ceramic itself, and so it was very discolored. Like the bottom half of it was brown when it was supposed to be white. This guy was heartbroken when I saw how badly chipped the little ears were. This is a nice little Eastgate pottery piece. They don't have crazy resale value. Had he not been chipped at $5 though, he would have been a good buy. You know, just the kitschy anthropomorphic animal pieces do really well. They're so sweet. That probably would have ended up being a keeper, knowing me. This was a really old dish, just sort of a decorative bowl. I loved the transfer on it. It reminded me of a place I visited in England once that had an association to my great grandmother. This is really, you know, sort of beautiful garden, but this is a nice little Royal Grafton bone china. This was a trinket box and it had the ashtray with it. Those were pretty reasonably priced, but the design was cool. Had the little like gold pheasant on it. I wasn't super excited about it though. And I've honestly been trying to be a little more disciplined with what I buy. It's been working somewhat. Not really. And I really loved this brass sign, but unfortunately they had that priced at $20. This is a really beautiful Royal Worcester. This was like a baking pan, a baking dish. I believe it was priced at $20 or $25. There may actually have been some room for resale on that, but I wasn't totally confident, and honestly, I'm trying not to invest too much in individual pieces right now. Just trying to turn over some of my backlog of inventory. That was a very pretty Fitz and Floyd dish with the sunflower, but it was unfortunately chipped on the back. It was really disappointing. And this was cool. We were just trying to figure out what was inside. I was some potpourri in there. I loved that it was shaped like a pumpkin. It just sort of dawned on me that it was very pumpkin shaped, but a totally different color palette to it. So that one, the dish with the potpourri was priced at $6. That Asian figurine was priced at $10. And here's talked about it in the last video, the choke-in art. It was pretty. Had at $3, little vase. That dish, that almost looked like Desert Rose. I really, really loved the color on this, and I loved the sort of spongy, drippy finish. It was Italian. It was $5. There actually weren't any chips or cracks, but I was put off by the wear to the gold on the handle of that little tidbit. I think I made the right call. I did leave it. I personally was having a hard time overlooking the gold rub on it, so I think a buyer probably would have been put off by that too. It's honestly just looking to see who made that, because it was really pretty, grandpa mug with the cranes on it. So, and that is right about where we finish. And so now stay tuned and enjoy the haul. Thanks. Bye.